Well, we are in the company today of the unmistakable figure of Chris Kamara, otherwise known as Kammy. And Kammy, this is a world exclusive, I understand. You are about to announce the great British football team for the London Olympics. Am I right?
Oh, wouldn't that be great, eh? Wouldn't that, if I was the manager of the Olympics?
Well, we'll assume you will be. We are assuming you will be the manager of the great British football team. And if so, you are here today to name your team.
What we have to remember is if you're watching a World Cup, 60% of people all over the world watch the World Cup. If you're watching the Olympics, we're talking 90% of people watch the country perform in the Olympics. So why would not any single player who was picked to represent Great Britain want to go?
No, absolutely right. And let's be honest, Kammy, this is the one and only opportunity. It's not going to come our way for a while, is it?
It's not going to come back to us, not in my lifetime anyway, so you might as well do it. And a lot of players will be heroes, you know.
Listen, we digress. Let's get on with the team, okay? Talk us through the official Great Britain team for the Olympics that you have picked.
Well, the official team, I mean, the one thing for certain, we can't ignore all the other countries.
No.
You know, we can't ignore...
I mean, that's what I could ask you, Kammy. Should it be the best 11, or should we, should we have an Irishman, a Welshman, a Scotsman, even if they not necessarily should be in the best 11?
No, we should have the best 11. I think it's as simple as that. We'll incorporate Irish and Welsh and Scottish, well, certainly Welsh and Scottish, that's for sure. It's hard to find a case at this moment in time for an Irishman,
Northern Irishman, yeah,
to fit into the team. So, but Wayne Hennessy at Wolverhampton Wanderers, Welsh international, is somebody. In the goalkeeping stakes, you probably think, well, why not Joe Hart? Well, Joe Hart would have probably just played in the Euro, so Manchester City wouldn't allow him, I wouldn't have thought, to play 2 back-to-back competitions and then go back to them in pre-season, so whatever. So that would probably rule him out. Anybody who's picked for 2012 should be ruled out anyway.
That might open the door more for the Welsh and the Scots then as well.
Yeah. So like I said, you got Wayne Hennessy in goals. It's probably indisputable that he won't play unless you go like Paul Robinson, David James, Robert Green. Yeah. People who've had their chance at England.
Who's your back four?
The back four. Well, that becomes harder as well because you're looking for young players. Somebody like Kyle Walker, who's been on loan at Aston Villa from Spurs, could have a great season with his club, but he's a young player and probably won't go to the Euros with England. You've got Kieran Gibbs of Arsenal, broke into the England squad, suffered injuries throughout last season, maybe get another full season under his belt. If you look at overage players, maybe Darren Ferguson. Darren Fletcher, I should say.
You don't have to pick the Peterborough United manager, do you?
Exactly. So Darren Fletcher would be a player who, obviously, good enough to grace the top competition. He's been unfortunate because he's missed both Champions League finals with Manchester United.
What would he be? Would he be a holding midfielder?
Yeah. So he'd be someone you could stick in there as a holding midfielder.
Who are your centre backs, you think? Maybe someone like young Phil Jones, those sort of people? You're looking for youth or a bit of a blend?
Yeah. So like Chris Smalling would probably be a
Manchester United.
A player who you'd say straight away because Rio and John Terry are probably still going to be around next summer to make sure that they're in the senior squad for the European Championships. So Smalling is someone you would consider almost straight away within that squad. And you got like Ryan Shawcross, Phil Jones, as you just mentioned there, could play at the back.
So you've got a holding midfielder, okay?
Yeah, Aaron Ramsey and Gareth Bale, 2 Welshmen.
Absolutely,
Automatically go into.
You're big fans of those two, eh?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And players who, through no fault of their own, because they're a small country and they find it difficult to qualify for major competitions, this would be, like I said, fantastic for them.
But certainly Ramsey and Bale, anybody would agree with that.
Yeah, they would have to go into any probably Scott Sinclair at Swansea.
Yeah.
Such a brilliant player in the Championship this year.
Up front?
Well, Daniel Sturridge, who I'm not sure whether he'll be a star at Chelsea once again this year. He might have to go on loan.
Hasn't done much wrong, has he?
No, he hasn't, and he's done really well at Bolton.
Yeah.
But, the new manager at Chelsea might have ideas of his own.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure how many videos he would watch at Bolton. last season in Daniel Sturridge, or maybe he just took into consideration his performances in the under-21 championships, what he didn't do himself.
Well, I was just going to say, do you think there might be, because it's quite a young group you've picked there, partly because, as you say, a lot of the established ones will be at the European Championships, but do you think there might be scope for, and we mentioned Beckham and Ryan Giggs, it's their one and only chance, they've been great ambassadors for the sport. Do you think there's an argument to pick those guys?
Yeah, well, I think he's been much maligned, Ryan Giggs, because of the fact that he hasn't committed himself to Welsh football as much as he should have done. I think, there's no doubt that his ambitions with Manchester United overshadowed anything that ever happened with Wales. And, people have really had a go at him about that. I don't think they should really. I think he has been there for his country. Maybe not committed himself 100%, but he's been there when he's had to be there. He's dropped out when he wanted to be out, and I think he showed when he did retire from Welsh football that his club football got better. Now,
assuming, I'm assuming you will be the manager, but just on the off chance that you're not, who's your manager?
It's got to be Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
It can only be Sir Alex. What you need at this particular tournament, they've all got coaches, they've all got warm-up people. You need somebody who's going to carry the respect of every single player.
Yeah.
And every single player would respect Sir Alex Ferguson.
Sure.
And I don't
think he'd do it?
I don't think you can experiment. I think if the government asked him to do it, I think he would.
That's a great shout. And that's a great team, and we are very, very privileged to be able to reveal to the world the Great Britain Olympic team as picked by the future British manager at the Olympics, Mr. Chris Kammy Kamara. And the good thing about you as well is that you play for some big clubs, and you played for some not so big clubs, which I think is a good thing, because it shows that you love the game, you love football.
Well, I would like to have played for big clubs the whole time, but it just doesn't work out that way. I started at Portsmouth, and then I left and went to Swindon.
Are you a Portsmouth boy?
No, I'm from Middlesbrough. No.
But you, I read somewhere, I'm not right in saying you're in the Navy.
That's right, yeah, my dad made me join the Royal Navy. And people often ask me, how does your dad make you join the Royal Navy? Because I've got kids and I'd never make them do anything. But that's how it was in those days, your dad sort of like didn't want me or my brother hanging around in Middlesbrough because he felt that we just end up going down the boozer and being wasters for the rest of our lives. So he actually enlisted both of us, my brother in the army and myself in the Navy.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it was amazing. So when Portsmouth brought me out of the Royal Navy, I scored a couple of goals against the Portsmouth youth team playing for the Royal Navy youth team. And I had to get a letter from the Navy to give to my dad to say that we'd have him back at any time. So Portsmouth bought me out for £200. It still goes down as the worst deal in the club.
So thanks for your time today. Thank you for revealing the British Olympic team.
Don't forget what I mentioned, it's skysports.com/wash and go dream team. If you go onto that site, you could win a trip to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro.
But we've already sorted that out between the two of us.
Yes, and if your team is the same as mine,
yeah,
which I've just told you, as long as I'm on the trip with you, that's
okay. So is it fair to say that if you, having heard this, fail to name the same team that you've just named, you're an idiot?
There might be a few tweakings within that team, you see.
Okay.
Before I put the official team down. But the survey that was done by Wash and Go to all the fans out there, 3,000 football fans, most of those players that I mentioned there came out on top.
Brilliant. Well, as they say in Brazil, obrigado.